Hey Collective, welcome back. I hope you're having a good day today. So this one's going to be about aura. There is a rhythm to truth, a slow and steady pulse that can't be silenced. You don't need to shout to be heard, not when your spirit speaks before your mouth ever opens. Sometimes you walk into a room and the atmosphere just shifts. Not because you're loud, not because you're boastful, but because the energy around you is alive. It's awake. It's undeniable. People don't always know how to name it. They call it confidence. They call it mystery. Some may even call it arrogance. But it's none of that. What they're feeling is presence. It's your aura. Not something you wear like fine clothes, but something you carry like breath. It follows you. It surrounds you. It announces your arrival without a single word. You may notice people change when you're near. Some grow quiet. Some shift in their seats. Others may laugh to cover their discomfort. That's not you being too much. That's your light making their shadows more visible. You didn't do anything wrong. You're just existing in the fullness of who you are. And in a world where most people are trying to be someone else, your authentic glow can be blinding. People may tell you to quiet that fire, but that's only because they can't match the flame. Know this: not everyone is ready for the honesty your energy demands. You bring truth into rooms that survive on pretense. You bring clarity where confusion used to hide. And that rattles cages that never wanted to be shaken. Some won't know what to do with you, especially if you find yourself winning. They will hold their applause like secrets. Others will fold their arms, questioning why you stand so tall. Let them. You were not made to bow for comfort. Your aura, this bold and beautiful force, was not built to please. It was built to lead, to heal, to protect, and to awaken. When you walk with your head high and your soul even higher, those who are still sleeping will call you strange. They'll whisper about your light, not knowing it's the very thing that can help guide them out of their darkness. Some will resent you before they understand you. Believe me, I know this one well. Some will love you without ever knowing why. That is the power you carry. That is the disturbance you create. Not by intention, but by nature. What I have learned is there is something about silence that unsettles people, especially when it carries weight. Power is not loud. It is not chaotic. It has no reason to be. It's calm, but not the kind of calm that slips unnoticed through the cracks. No. It's the kind of calm that makes people nervous or pause mid-sentence. That's what happens when your aura moves ahead of your words. It makes people feel things they don't always understand. Let your stillness speak. Your composure carries a message all its own. You'll notice people who need to prove their worth rely on noise. People who want to hide their insecurities rely on volume and drama. They don't know how to interpret someone like you. Someone who doesn't fight for attention, but still holds it. Someone who doesn't need to speak to be heard. That's not just presence. That's energy. That's depth. That's quiet intensity. It comes from knowing yourself, not from needing approval to feel worthy. They may call it arrogance. They may say you're distant. But really, they're just hearing their own insecurities echo in the quiet you've created. When your silence is rooted in awareness, strength, and peace, it reflects everything others are trying to escape. Some people are not ready to sit with themselves, and your presence forces them to do just that. You don't have to do anything other than exist in your truth. And I suppose it rattles them. Because the truth is, most of this world has learned to survive by pretending. And here you come, doing nothing but being, and still revealing everything. You see, when your silence is backed by substance, it makes people lean in, listen harder, wonder deeper, because real presence is felt, not forced. And grounded stillness can't be taught. It's earned through experience, through healing, through learning how to protect your peace. And when you carry that within you, people will notice. They might not understand it, but they will feel it. Let your silence speak. Let your energy whisper the truth. Let your calm disturb their noise. Never change to be more digestible. Never slouch so others feel tall. Let them feel what they feel. Your silence holds power, and those who can see beyond the surface will recognize it for what it is. A rare kind of strength that doesn't speak through words, but through being. Let that be enough. Let it be everything. Authenticity commands attention in ways performance never could. Your aura moves first, speaks first, and lingers even after you've left. It's not about beauty, status, or style. It's something deeper, something rare, an effortless pull, a natural gravity. And those who build their worth on being recognized, on being praised, on being admired, they'll feel the threat of your still power, because attention is currency in their world. And when you receive it without even trying, it disrupts their sense of control. People are drawn to you because of how you make them feel about themselves. Your energy reflects back to them the parts they've hidden or forgotten. For some, it's inspiration. For others, it's intimidation. Either way, it's impactful. And that kind of impact doesn't go unnoticed. In a world that rewards masks and rehearsed smiles, authenticity is almost rebellious. To be real, fully, and unapologetically is to walk into spaces and have others magnetically drawn to you without saying a single word. Your aura does that. It doesn't try to fit. It doesn't try to mimic. It simply is. And in its rawness, it reflects everything that is missing in the people around you. When you show up as yourself, you hold up a mirror that reveals the mask they wear, the roles they play, the truths they buried. That's why your presence disturbs. Not because you're trying to expose anyone, but because your light makes their hiding places less comfortable. You live without pretending, and that alone makes people nervous. Because most have spent so much time becoming who they're told to be, they've forgotten who they truly are. You walk in peace with your flaws. You don't carry shame like others do. You're not afraid to own your mistakes or show your scars. And that level of honesty creates a different kind of tension. They don't know how to act around someone who isn't performing. Someone who doesn't flatter to be liked. Someone who doesn't filter their truth to make it easier to digest. You show up as you are, and that is both rare and unsettling. They may say you're too intense, too different, too much, but really, they're saying you're too real for a world that survives on half-truths. You bring clarity, you bring truth, you bring energy that can't be manipulated, can't be bought, can't be faked. You don't conform to the expectations that control so many. You listen more than you speak, feel more than you show, and understand more than most realize. Your authenticity is not just a trait, it's a vibration. It's a frequency not everyone is tuned to. And sometimes your mere presence forces people to ask themselves hard questions. Questions they've avoided. Questions about who they are, who they've become, who they wish they could be. And I suppose that reflection can be painful. But it can also be the beginning of their growth. So don't stop being who you are. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more truth. More people willing to walk in the open, to stand sure in their skin, and to speak from the soul. So friends, remember this. You don't have to shout your authenticity. And even when misunderstood, even when labeled and misnamed, it remains untouched. That's your strength. You are not made to blend. You are made to remind others of what truth sounds like without ever raising your voice. You know your worth, and you don't need to wear it like armor. You'll never try to be palatable just to be liked. You don't respond to pressure the way most expect. You don't rush to fill silence. And you don't explain your choices just to ease someone else's discomfort. That will unnerve people who are used to bending others to their will. So let them call you distant, cold, or even difficult. The truth is, they're just not used to meeting someone whose energy doesn't waver under scrutiny. You're not easily shaken. You don't entertain nonsense. And when you say no, it stays no. That comes from knowing who you are when no one's looking. You've been through enough to know what matters and what doesn't. You don't seek control, and yet you influence. You don't seek to lead, but people follow. That is the paradox of true power. It doesn't demand, it invites. It doesn't impose, it inspires. So let your energy continue to command the room before you speak. Let your boundaries teach others how to treat you. Let your silence challenge the noise. And remember this, you weren't made to bow for false peace. You were made to stand steady and whole even when others try to shake you. Keep honoring that power. There is something unshakable about a person who moves with purpose, even when the path ahead is uncertain. You may not always have the answers. You don't always see the full picture, but still you walk. Still you rise. Still you keep going. And that alone can stir discomfort in others, because in a world that teaches hesitation, that trains people to wait for approval, for clarity, for permission, your ability to move forward without it all figured out becomes a quiet rebellion. People notice it. They feel the difference. It lives in your step, in your decisions, in the way you don't let fear paralyze your progress. Your confidence comes from knowing that even if life falls apart, you don't. That kind of confidence doesn't come easy. It's been earned. And some won't understand what it took to get there. They think it's natural, effortless, but they don't see the strength it takes to believe in your direction when the path is foggy and you're surrounded by voices of doubt. So let them think you're arrogant. Let them think you think you're better. Because all it really is you've just decided to stop waiting for approval to be who you are. You're not walking with pride, you're walking with conviction. You're walking because you know what it feels like to stay stuck, to question yourself, to wait too long. And you'd rather walk uncertain than stay frozen in fear. So quit making fear your God, because what's on the other side of hesitation is freedom. And I can't wait for you to arrive. Until next time, friends, keep healing. See ya.